Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Gordon Report, the April 2022 episode of the Gordon Report. And certainly nothing going on in the job and labor markets or our government or economies or world
Right.
politics. Just an everyday, same old stuff, right, Ed?
Yes, the same old Twilight Zone we left from the last broadcast. Yes.
Right. And we got a special guest today. I'm going to allow you to make the introductions, but to let everybody know, we're going to be talking about a solution that Ed's been passionate about, and apparently Bob as well. These partnerships of how do we get more people, qualified, skilled people into the workforce, which I know is on everybody's mind. So you've got a solution, and we're going to hear more about it. So I'm going to let you, Ed, make the introduction for Bob.
Well, we have here with us today Robert Witchger, who's the Director of Career and Technical Education for the Community College System in North Carolina. And I've worked with Bob since around the year 2000 in the state, trying to help them and Bob and his staff to encourage these retains, these regional talent innovation networks, which are public-private partnerships. And thank you, Bob, for being on. It's good to see you again. And I guess let's lead off by asking you the question, why did these partnerships happen in your state?
You know, Ed, when you talk about public and private partnerships, they go back for years. I think specifically in North Carolina, we see the public-private partnerships in what we call our customized training programs. They've been around for about 50 years. They started with a gentleman by the name of Joe Sturdivant, then Maureen Little worked on them, and now Dr. Bruce Mack is. And really what they're trying to do is to meet industry where they are and develop with public and private money education and training programs and supportive services for new and expanding industries. They're in a variety of areas. In fact, I could just highlight a few of them, Ed, to give you somewhat of an idea. We try to offer business solutions for industry by our staff working with economic developers and going out and meeting with industry. I think three underlying elements of these partnerships are job growth, technology investment, and productivity enhancement. As you know, our community colleges are very broad, Ed, and we do a lot of different training, from preparing people to transfer to the universities, for preparing people in short-term training, for preparing people actually to get what we call an associate of applied science, to actually go out and work in the workforce for many jobs. But customized training is unique to North Carolina, and that we're trying to come up with business solutions because we understand the right training is critical for success, and who understands the right training in many cases are our employers. We
Bob,
get many testimonials. Yes, Ed.
Yeah, I'd hate to interrupt you, but we lost your picture.
You lost my picture.
Yeah, I don't. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm afraid we don't see anything on the screen at the moment.
Well, let me try to find it again. I was talking about our customized training, so you see absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
We see a black screen, but you keep going because we can hear you well.
We can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm going to see if I can figure out what happened to it, Ed. Did it come back?
There we go.
Now it's back.
We see you.
Okay.
So why don't you just talk?
During the pandemic, we have used many different types of technology, everything from GoToMeeting to Zoom and Teams, and I've been on those all day today. And somehow I had trouble with the steam engine. But anyway, we'll keep it going because that's what public-private partnerships are about. They're about that steam engine as you move forward. There's 4 areas I'd like to share with you, Ed, that we do. Community colleges in North Carolina, let me give you a little background. They're the cornerstone of our education and training for the state. We have over 700,000 students in programs. Now, that's not our retains, because our retains is just one arm. But one of the unique things in public-private partnerships, Ed, I think I can include this, is the actual apprenticeship. We've had as many as 16,000 individuals, workers, retraining with industry over a period of time. And I think North Carolina is very fortunate also to have the active military here. We have Fort Bragg, we have Camp Lejeune, and they all have apprenticeship programs are available for the military people. The idea is we're working with private industry and public education to prepare the workforce. We have a series under the Department of Commerce of some 20 local workforce career centers that also are a hub for information for people about jobs and for partnerships. Our
Let me
small
ask you
business
something.
centers.
Let me
Yes,
ask
go
you
ahead, Ed,
something.
please.
Many states have tried this, and some have been successful, but most are struggling. Why do you think North Carolina is more successful in doing this? What kind of leadership do you
I
see?
think, Ed, as I do not directly work in this area right now, but I see people like Joe Sturdivant, Dr. Joe Sturdivant, Maureen Little, Dr. Mack. They are passionate about the work. They go out and work with industry. They work hand in hand with economic developers and businesses, and they've been very instrumental in helping many businesses. In fact, I was just going to give you a list of some of the companies that we've worked with. If I can pull up, can you see my PowerPoint slide?
No, we can't see your
Okay. Well,
slides.
we have partnerships. I think partnerships is key, but they're with companies. We're famous for Mount Olive pickles. We have that. But we also have Red Hat. We have Amazon here that we do training with. Google, Apple are some of the companies where our staff sit down with the economic developers and industry and design these programs. And then our legislature has set out a certain amount of funds that are available to help match what industry might do to improve these partnerships. And I think it's a partnership with industry and with business. Another area, I think bio network is an amazing thing. We have a fantastic director over there. But last year alone, we did over 20,000 hours of training for people. Over 8,000 people received the training, and it includes some 307 instructors from industry that worked with us to provide professional development, not only for our faculty, but also for industry to build the skills. We offered 120 courses over that time and served 52 companies in a public-private venture to help upgrade the training.
Well, Bob,
Yes,
it sounds as if many of the companies are meeting you at least 50% on your incentives, and they themselves are promoting this.
Ed, they bring folks in. But some of the examples that I've observed over the years, we have individuals going to train for companies, and then they may go over to Germany or Switzerland or other places to pick up skills and come back here. So the industry puts invests a lot in it. I'm specifically involved and have been in the apprenticeship program in North Carolina. And that's more than a 50-50 proposition because the employers provide that hands-on training in a private, you could call it private partnership, because industries are providing the hands-on training that we teach in our classroom. They give us ideas on what need to be taught in the classroom, and then it's applied on the job. Yes, Ed,
what suggestions, what do you, off the top of your head here, what suggestions would you might offer HR and training people who are listening today? Because many companies in other states aren't doing this. They're very reluctant to invest any money, any time of their workforce in reaching out because they think it's taking away from their profit.
Ed, let me just
yeah.
I've known you for almost 23 years.
I know.
We keep reconnecting, but I think we reconnect because of the initial relationships that we built and the trust we built, and we know each other. I think the same thing happens when you not only you call them retains, we call them customized training. There's a lot of different names for them, but it's that initial trust that's built. But also, industry's taken time to come out and visit our colleges, see what we have to offer, talk with our instructors before they enter into the agreement. And yes, the government understands. In fact, our state legislature has been very helpful in North Carolina in providing us extra funds because they realize when we train the workforce and better educate the workforce, we're creating sustainable jobs for individuals. And not only the sustainable jobs, but we're opportunities for their family, and companies can come in and expand. It's about building the relationships with the education entity. In our case, the community colleges. We have I mean, we have a variety. I could go into all those different types of training that we offer, but customized training is typically a short-term training, Ed.
Right. Right.
We value the industry, and they come in and many times help teach the course with our faculty, and it's a collaborative effort. It's
Right.
a true partnership. You know, I think we go back and look at some of the history of public-private
Yes.
partnerships, and many times they're building bridges and other things. In this case, the private partnership is about building people. Yes, Ed, I'm sorry.
How about getting we don't see you again. Your picture's not up. Why don't you get your picture back up, Bob?
Yeah, I think if you switch screens, I don't know if when you went to try the PowerPoint.
I tried to pull up a PowerPoint. I apologize.
Yeah, it might have switched your screen. But while you're figuring that out, I there you go again. So I have two questions for you. Bob.
Go ahead, please.
You know, I mean, both of you have been involved more specifically with these partnerships, but I was involved with workforce development the last 20 years, and I know the initiative there, and it was very strong. And they identified 5 or 6 industries that they were going to work, and it was more or less for an immediate need. At that time, I was living in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and they had an immediate need for hospitality workers, but there was also trying to get a need for more manufacturing, especially the high-tech manufacturing jobs. And a lot of the programs were, how do we solve this problem for the next year or two, not long-term. So the one question, I see from your comment there, I can't wait for the answer on that. The other question I have, though, is because you have been doing this for a while in real life. I mean, you've created these. What's changed? I mean, are the companies more receptive than they had been 10 or 15 years ago when you started to this? So two sides of the question there is, how do we've got a short-term and a long-term problem. Most companies are saying, what do we do today? We need people today. What's the fastest way to entry those in? How does that work in a private-public partnership? And then on the back end is what have you seen change? Because you've got some pretty progressive companies like Red Hat and Amazon, that are
in some cases, those are short-term training that we meet an immediate need. And I wish we could bring in Dr. Mack or Maureen Little. They work directly with the company's needs. They set these up. I know many economic developers that work with that team, and they speak very highly of the work that they do. But let me just answer your question quickly. A lot of the work we do with short-term training is short-term training, customized training to get people up, to get industries into the state, to get them up and running right away. But the longer-term training, I believe, is in our career and technical education programs for both high school kids coming to colleges, but also for adults that are coming back to retrain. It's a combination of having and being able to work with the academic, the technical and employability skills that we teach in our programs. We have many 2-year programs, and I think that's the long-term answer. It's the teaching of the whole individual that they get when they come in, not only the technical skills, but the academic skills as we blend and prepare the workers. Have we seen change? Sure. Before, I think apprenticeship builds much of that in, and it was hard to get apprenticeships, but we've seen a tremendous growth in the apprenticeship programs, and those are, I say everything we do here is a public-private partnership. We don't act without employers. Employers guide us. The new act, the new comprehensive act that it's called Career and Technical Education. It used to be called Perkins. Now it's called Perkins 5. It's about strengthening the workforce. Right. Puts up front that we do this comprehensive local needs assessment where we sit down with industry and agencies and determine what's the need for their future workforce. And then we go back and put programs together to meet their needs in terms of longer term training. This is new because before you'd have the funding and you'd put people into a job right away. You may do a short-term training for a welder or a short-term training for other people. This looks at a little bit longer term training. It looks at a curriculum that's designed with the employers. They look at our learning outcomes as we put it together, and it's preparing the workforce for the future. I will tell you though, employers want them right away, and many times they hire students before they finish with the carrot that they'll continue to pay for their education as they go to work. I've seen a bigger need, more employers knocking at our doors now than ever because there is a shortage in the workforce.
Well, the good news, The good news, let me say, the good news I see now is that this is starting to pop up in other states. I was just in Arizona, and I noticed a company that does a lot of contracting work, building work, and they're offering apprenticeship training now. And I wouldn't be surprised if that apprenticeship training is tied into what you're just talking about, Bob.
Yeah, I know. I would like to just tell you just a little bit about our community colleges, because they're so unique. And many people say, I studied this and when I was working on my doctorate, and we've talked about this before, but sometimes people say we have a conflicted mission because we have academic programs to teach people to go into the university and get them started, jumpstart them. We have 2-year technical programs. We have short-term, and that's where many of our public-private partnerships are, in short-term training, where employers invest in the training as we prepare people. And then we also have basic skill training, where we actually work with people that may have not had the opportunity to finish high school, or their reading and math levels a little bit lower, but to bring them up. But the whole idea of the public-private partnerships go back to our customized training, where we actually have apprenticeships, where we have we have 58 small business centers that actually have an active person in there. And then we served 100% of our counties last year in some type of training for industry and for business. Now, I say it's a private partnership because all of them have advisory committees. They all have employers. When we sit down with employees, we don't do anything in a vacuum. And I think, Ed, most colleges do that, but many times I would say companies drive by our colleges and don't realize the resources that we have. But I could also say maybe we drive by the companies and don't realize their needs. It's about building those relationships. And customized training does that. Our bio network does that. And I think you've seen many other examples of that. So when an industry is interested in coming into our state, it's a whole team. Community college is a little piece. We have a whole economic package that goes with it. We have the economic developers. We have land people. They all sit down and take a look at what North Carolina has to offer. But I may be prejudiced because I work at the community colleges and I believe in our people. I mean, I'm training right now with 150 of them. We're in Winston-Salem, and there are career coaches, and they're excited about what we do and how we prepare students and adults to come back and give them some good direction. Yes.
Well, see, that's one reason why communities form an intermediary agency to bring all these players to the table, because the community colleges are important. So are the workforce boards, so are the K-12 schools, the other private and nonprofit organizations in an area. And so that they can all talk to each other and find out what the resources are and better network as a hub, rather than trying to do this with 15 different people all by themselves. So,
this doesn't happen just overnight. I mean, I think we've been very lucky with our leadership at our colleges and at our Department of Commerce, and even our governors in the past have supported this. And we've had the opportunity. I've had the opportunity to serve with the Workforce Board. We have a loosely called group called the North Carolina Employment and Training Association. We meet quarterly, but there are economic developers. There's Workforce Board people there, and you share ideas. You get to learn people. So when they need help, somebody steps in. And every time an industry is interested in moving, it's not Bob that goes out there. No, it's our local people that do this. Right. It's our presidents of our colleges. Right. It could be the superintendents of schools. It's the county commissioners. It's the local legislators. They all get together with economic developers, business. But I like to think the community college training piece is one of the most important pieces, because a trained and skilled workforce of the future is really what we need.
Well, Bob, you and I both realize that the number of vacant jobs is rising, and with the demographics the way they are and the state of education, more training is going to be needed. What do you see as the future over the next 5 years of these programs in North Carolina?
Ed, I neglected to miss one of the major initiatives in our state, and this may be to help answer your question. We have a program started several years ago called My Future NC, and the goal is to fully equip several million individuals with that post-secondary credential, to have them academically ready and career and college ready, or career ready for our high schools. but it's about post-secondary completion. If we're going to build the workforce in the future, we need to continue to invest in education, to invest in our faculty and to upgrade their skills and to meet the needs of industry. I mean, yes, it's important that we get that well-rounded education, but we need to be out meeting with industry, trying to understand their needs and support them. They're the backbone of our community. They keep communities alive. It's the businesses and industries. And
Yes.
I think North Carolina is very fortunate to have that partnership, not only with the Workforce Commission, with the community colleges and economic developers, as we look to the future. Every one of our groups is different that we look at. I mean, I can take a look at, I was going to pull some interesting statistics up, but I looked and I was trying to think of the economic development. We got 8 actual regions of the state where this is concentrated, where we actually concentrate the work that we do. And I was thinking of the one, you wouldn't believe that we have 2 active seaports in North Carolina. We have a great rail system. We have an interstate system. All those go to support businesses. And I remember reading something that our people are well trained, and people come here because of the culture and the workforce that North Carolina has. Does that answer your question, Ed, or you want me to go into more detail?
We lost your picture again.
Oh no,
we lost you. So,
I'm
but it sounds to me as if collaboration is the key on both sides of the track, from the businesses to the people who can help provide the training. And the other
it's
key,
collaboration, it's relationships,
right,
it's trust,
right,
and it's in my opinion, it's valuing the education of the individual, the total worth of the individual. And we see that in companies that come here.
Yeah.
We see that in our faculty that we work with. And it's about building the workforce through trusting and building in people and offering some good technical skills. Yeah,
well,
a
also,
little bit of government money is helpful, but it's the industry that puts the money behind it that's the driver. Yes.
That's right. And it's also about increasing profit. Last year, business lost $1 trillion because they couldn't fill these jobs. We're on track this year. I estimate to lose $2 trillion in profit and productivity in American business. Next month, we'll have Ann Van Aaron on, who's an expert in building relationships and collaboration. And it seems to me what you've talked about is true. It takes time to do it. It's long term. It requires people reaching out on both sides, enlightened leaders in business and enlightened leaders in education and community leadership, right?
Right. And I think it's career and technical education that's a driver. It's blending the academics and the technical skills.
Yes.
And today, we're doing a lot of good career guidance to help people figure out where they fit in, because they're passionate workers help build companies when they feel valued and they're in jobs that they do it. So we try to do it. We try to build all of that in. And we try to do that in partnership with economic development, with our workforce commission, with our governor's commission, and with our community college system. And I left out the university system. I was just meeting. We have independent colleges here. We have 16 fantastic independent colleges and 16 universities here that actually we support. And in many cases, we do need those 4-year degrees. They say, right. But they say for every engineer we develop, we need 7 good technicians, and we provide the technicians.
Bob, I promise you we'll do another program in the future with some of your counterparts that you mentioned earlier who can provide some more detail with you. Okay? Can we do that?
And I think we do need to get Dr. Mack and a few of the other people that actually are out on the road every day building these partnerships.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's do that.
I'm on the side. I do that. I do my little part in career and technical education. I know what they do. We partnership a lot with them. We couldn't do it without industry. It's a public partner private.
Now we'll try to get all that together, won't we, Ira?
We absolutely will. Hey, Bob, I really appreciate it. It's great to meet. Really appreciate you being here and having this conversation. I do have one final question. I know every industry could use this. Have you found more success for people out there that are thinking this is a great idea, but I wonder if my industry, if this could work in my industry? Have certain industries been more receptive, more
I'll focus on one part of that answer, and that's apprenticeship. I've been in North Carolina for years. I worked in apprenticeship. I don't do that right now, but it's when I think the private-public partnerships of the apprenticeship program, where the employers invest in the education and the training of their workers, is a key. I think there's other answers, but I think that's where you're going to build the workforce, because through the employers investing in the individuals, the people are, all the workers there see the employers, and most of our programs, there's a great relationship that's built there when the individual has they call them journeymen sometimes, but we call them supervisors, working with the individuals on the job and preparing them. There's nothing like a good qualified apprentice that's been through education, in our case at the community college system, and then also with the employer investing their time and effort in preparing their workforce. They know they got a strong worker. Maybe it's an aside to what you're talking about.
No, not absolutely not. It was a perfect ending. As I was saying, that may be our clip that we pull from this to promote the private-public partnerships. Yes. Bob, how can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out? Where are you located? Tell us.
No, I got a convoluted email. You can call the community college just and ask for Dr. Bob. That's what they know. Just call them. But no, it's witchgerb@nccommunitycolleges.edu.
Okay,
I've been around quite a while.
And it's at North Carolina Community Colleges, correct?
Right. Just look up North Community College and call the phone, and they'll know me.
Okay.
I love the people I work with. We got a fantastic new president, Dr. Thomas. In fact, he comes from industry. He was he worked with Macquarie when they started these public-private partnerships. I wish I could have got him on, but he's busy. We got a board meeting today. But, we'd be happy to answer any questions you got. I can put you in connection with any of the workers that probably have a lot more detail than I do on this.
Well, I think everyone in the audience can see why Bob and I have talked over these years, because it's his enthusiasm with other people in North Carolina that have made this a success on both sides, business and education. Thank you, Bob, for being with us today.
Thank you, Ed. Our business is building people through education, leveling the playing field for many people that don't have a chance through education.
Amen.
Community colleges need to be our first choice.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. It's great to meet. And you've been listening to the Gordon Report, the April edition of the Gordon Report. We will be back in May. Remind us, Ed.
Ann Van Aaron will be on, who is an expert in getting groups, collaborative groups, to organize and solve problems. And she will talk about the steps that you can learn to use within your communities to help organize or retain, to get the different groups who have been at odds with each other over this issue to collaborate and invest their time, talent, and treasure. And in the end, everyone profits.
Absolutely. So I appreciate both of you, gentlemen, for being here today. Certainly, every business in the country, almost every business in the country, is struggling to hire people. We've got more and more openings. We've got more and more people quitting because they're dissatisfied, and the gap between the skills that people have and the skills that are needed just keeps broadening. So I really appreciate you being here. Again, you're listening to the Gordon Report. I'm Ira Wolfe, here with Ed Gordon, and Bob. Our guest today was Bob Witchger. Thanks. And as I always close all my shows, don't let the shift hit your plans.
All right.
Thanks, Ed.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.